Now this is a quickie. This is Fundamentals Test 8. And every now and then I'll show you guys a video like that so you can just get a, and it may not always be about, you know, something forward, but everybody's got interesting stuff to tell. Many vehicles don't require chassis lubrication if they're equipped with what?
All the above.
I'm going to go with all the above.
All the above sounds pretty good to me, which would be low friction suspension joints such as ball joints, sealed for life joints, no grease fittings. I'm always interested in how some of these vehicles come without any grease fittings at all on any of the joints, and then when you replace the parts, like if you get Moog or something, you get grease fittings. U-joints, you know, a lot of times will come without grease fittings, and the replacement ones, I mean, well, as a matter of fact, U-joints is about always. Now, the only outfit that I know of that typically always puts, they only brought one? What?
Grease fittings? More?
Okay, I got dissed by Brett again. That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. That's okay. We can just, if he didn't want to sell us but one, that's okay. We'll just buy one.
Well, Riley's would have sold you on 6 of them.
Yes, okay. All right then. So, but anyway,
Go ahead.
but Jeeps used to have, when I would see Jeep Cherokees and stuff, they would come with grease fittings on them.
Jeeps.
Yeah, Jeeps would. They would come with grease fittings. A coolant leak will show us what color.
Any
Any of the above. Red.
It could be any of them depending on the type of coolant. Orange, red, green. There's actually got purple coolant. They got gold coolant too. Like Motorcraft Gold is what's in both of my vehicles, and that's what came in them, so that's why I put it back. That Motorcraft Gold at 100,000 miles looks like it did when it was new. I'm sure some chemical breakdown went on there.
I'm beating down that purple and grease.
Yep.
Really?
Yep. What?
Cool.
Which oil specification stands for the thickness?
SAE. I could be
Huh?
wrong. I don't know. I said I could be wrong.
What's SAE?
I don't know.
Society of Automotive Engineers.
Pretty much Society of American Engineers.
That was
Yeah.
close.
Is that Automotive or American? I don't know.
I couldn't remember which.
I can't remember all this.
SAE.
Okay. One way or another, this SAE.
Yeah.
Which oil standard is displayed on the front of the oil container?
DS-LAC.
Huh? ILSAC?
ILSAC.
ILSAC. Okay.
Is
I think that's number 4. Yeah.
Ilsac?
ILSAC. Okay. As a matter of fact, when we were in engine repair, I gave you guys some information on oil and stuff. I mean, it's like there's all kinds of stuff you can learn about oil. You can do a whole study on oil. I mean, just go on and on and on and on. A service technician removed the inspection fill plug from the differential of a rear-wheel drive vehicle, and gear lube started to flow out. Technician A says the technician should quickly replace the plug to prevent any more loss of gear lube. Technician B says to catch the fluid and allow the fluid to continue to drain. Who's right about that?
B.
What, both of them. How's that right?
Huh?
They can't both be right.
Huh?
Because it shouldn't be that full.
Exactly. You're going to do B. You're going to let it come down to where it's above. But I'll tell you something else. Is it always supposed to be where you can just reach it in there?
No.
What about on our Chevy pickups out here that we got that Gene and them drive?
Uh-huh.
It's supposed to be 40 millimeters below the hole. Isn't that weird?
That's a pretty long stretch.
Yeah. But it's got a plastic tag on the side of the rear end. It's supposed to be 40 millimeters below the hole.
How do you measure 40 millimeters?
Huh?
You measure 40 millimeters.
Like this? Probably like
But
that.
I mean, you measure it on your finger and then
Yeah.
stick your finger down there.
I guess what you'd have to do is make you a little paper dipstick or something.
I thought when you pump the gear oil in there, you're supposed to pump it in until it starts running out.
That's what I like to do. I don't even know why that's a problem.
Oh.
Maybe I'm screwed up about the 40 millimeter deal, but I do know that on that tag. Look at the tag. Next time we do a vehicle inspection on Gene's truck, look at that rear end up in there. There's a little plastic tag on it. It's not supposed to be all the way full. It's supposed to be below the hole a certain amount. I think 40 millimeters seems like a heck of a lot because that's about 1.5 inches.
But the book said once you start pumping stuff in.
Yeah, but you do by the manufacturer, you know, whatever they say, and that was put on there by GM. A grease fitting can be also called a what?
A Zerk fitting.
Zerk fitting, Alamite fitting, grease fitting, any of the above. That's a D, believe it or not.
What's an Alamite fitting?
That's what they called it. That was a brand name that people called it. It's kind of like calling a solid drink a Coke. You know, so,
They are all Cokes.
yeah. Or a Schrader valve, you know. Everybody knows what a Schrader valve is, the one you put where the tire is and all. That's I guess the guy that designed that got his name hung on it forever, you know.
Nice.
You know, so,
The Lundy
okay.
valve.
A red fluid is discovered under a vehicle. This could be due to leaking what?
Transmission.
Or coolant.
Yeah, what's going on? But I said
I'm going to go with B or C.
Well, number 7 is going to be, that's D. That's B or C. A Volkswagen Jetta is in the shop for an oil change. What specification is used for this European vehicle?
ACEA.
Listen to that boy.
That's what
He's
he
been
does
paying
for
attention.
Travis.
ACEA.
The Germans.
What is a typical lube? What is the let me tell you something really quick. This is really important. Don't ever assume you know what oil to use.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because some manual transmissions, believe it or not, take 50 weight motor oil. And some of them take gear grease, some of them take, 70. I actually rebuilt the transmission on a little Toyota one time. And those little early 70s Toyotas, the manual transmission on those things was cool as all get out. Because when you get it out on the ground and you lay it on its side, you see a whole bunch of 12mm bolt. You take those things out, and it's like opening up a suitcase. And there's all your gears. It's cool as everything. So,
My transmission on that Ranger did not take transmission fluid. It takes gear oil.
yeah.
If you put transmission fluid in, you're gonna burn it up.
Yeah,
Before you
but
get
some
out
of them take automatic transmission
Some
fluid.
of them do.
You don't ever know. I mean, so if you put fluid in there, if you put oil in there, it's too heavy, it'll grind when you try to put it in gear. It goes to the synchronizer. So anyway, just make darn sure you look in and make sure you know. And don't assume that you know what the torque is on lugs. Do you know what it's supposed to be on some of these Chevrolet trucks? If you'll think it's 100 foot-pounds, it's 140. On my old gray Ford pickup at 07 model, it's 150 on that one, and it's just
150.
yeah.
Big truck he's got.
It's got to be a stud in a Munster. All right, then, here we go. Let me see. What's a typical lube used in rear drive axle assemblies?
It's gonna be any of those, man.
Any of the above, but a lot of them nowadays take synthetic gear lube for the rear. And one time we had a 98 Ford pickup truck in the spider gears, which would be these gears in here. These little, these gears got all busted up in there. And it was making all these grunting and, clicking noises and grinding noises. And we pulled it apart. All it needed was a set of these. It didn't have anything else wrong with it. And so we cleaned everything out real good. And when we used the oil that they called for, it was synthetic oil. And it was $40 worth of oil, and it was only like a quart and a half. It was so expensive that the business office called and said, "Did you make a mistake charging this out?" But these gears, this is what blew me away. These gears from the dealership on an F-150 are like $65. The same gears, if you buy them for a Chevy of that vintage, are $550. I don't know why. You can't tell any difference in the way they're made or anything else. I mean, they won't interchange, but you know what I'm saying. All right, just make sure you know, because remember, a lot of them are going to take synthetic nowadays. Now, what would be the ramifications of not using synthetic? I'm not going to say. If I'm working on my truck, though, and, I always, it's a calculated risk. I always say, well, if I got to lose one way or another, how much would it cost me to fix this if something went south? I think, let's go ahead and pour some regular oil in there. If it's my truck. If it's a customer's truck, you put what's supposed to be in there. And an under vehicle inspection includes checking for what?
All the above.
Everything. Torn drive axle shaft boots, any fluid leaks, exhaust system faults such as broken hangers or leaks. And this boy one of the dual enrollment students came in today, and he had his truck, he would put up on the lift and he would look at the exhaust system because he said he wanted to weld some stuff under there. And one of the places where there was a curved place in the pipe where it was bent was so rusty that you could just about take a pocket screwdriver and punch holes in it. It was that rusty, So you can't weld that. You know what I mean? Unless somebody is good enough to weld cigarette paper to railroad iron, they're not going to be able to do
I can do
that.
that.
Oil viscosity refers to what?
Tendency of oil to resist flowing.
To resist flowing, and it'd be like molasses in wintertime, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Once you got a 20 W50, it's going to act like a 20 oil in winter and a 50 oil in summer. So you get the best of both worlds. Different brands of oil can be used in a vehicle from one oil change to another if they meet vehicle specifications, because all oil is
The same API
What is
group
it,
and
B and C?
of the same
I mean, A and
viscosity.
C?
D.
It's B, right?
Yep. How you say that word?
What word?
Miscible?
Miscible.
Miscible.
Miscible. Miscible.
It's miscible.
Miscible bond, miscible.
Miscible.
Which rating is the ACEA rating specified for use by many European vehicle manufacturers?
SM?
That would be D there.
A3B.
A3, B3. The W in SAD 5W20 means
Winter.
winter. Everybody needs to know that instead of, some people argue with you about that. If you're a young person that's like 17 or 18 years old and you try to tell an old timer that, he'll tell you you're full of mud and he won't believe anything you say.
Wait.
Wait.
You know what I'm saying? I'm serious. It's hard sometimes to get, it's hard sometimes if you're young and they perceive that you're young, even if you know something they don't know, they're thinking, this kid's 18, he can't know anything I don't know because I'm 54. You know what I'm saying?
There's a part.
Just because they're 54 don't mean they're always right. You got me?
But I tell
So,
you, I know it's not from everybody. You know?
yeah. I mean, it's like, well, this is, a lot of the times, you know, you can make a fool out of yourself by saying, no, this is the way it is. And then they'll find out later you were wrong. And what I usually do is, unless I'm absolutely 110% sure that I'm right, is I'll say, well, I could be wrong, but I think this is the way it is. You know, because that way you've left yourself an out and you don't have egg on your face if you turn out to be wrong. I mean, that's a smart way to do that, you know. Because I have seen people that just would be real boneheaded about trying to, you know, yes, this is the way it is, this is right. You know, nobody knows more than I do. This one guy, when I was sitting there at Sambo's in Port Arthur, Texas, you know, we were talking about, you know, stuff. And I mean, I'm a mechanic every day. I don't know what this guy did. He always just sat around with blue jeans and a t-shirt, don't drink coffee all day, I guess. But, I mean, I don't even know what kind of job he had. But he told me, if you take a thermostat out of a car, it'll overheat. Seriously?
Well, that's not what you taught us. You said,
What I mean, I told him, I said, really? He said, yeah, it will. If you take a thermostat out, it'll overheat and you'll burn it up. I said,
Won't
what?
it run through the
I said-
radiator too fast?
Yeah.
Well, only on the ones that have a really thin radiator, like the really old, like a 65 Mustang, or it's got a real thin radiator on it. And if it can go through the radiator too fast, but if you lined up 500 cars out there of all different year, model, and make, and you took the thermostat out of all of them, one of them might overheat. Most of them wouldn't. Because if the thermostat fails open, then it's gonna make it run too cold.
But it's still gonna have a little bit of resistance.
Yeah, a little
But
bit.
if you take it out, it's not gonna have any resistance.
That's right. But I'll tell you what happened with my Jeep, and I've seen it in a zillion other cars too. Well, and on Katie's car, Katie's vehicle that Moody kept working on, kept coming in here throwing a PO 128 code. All right, he changed his thermostat out to start with. And the PO 128 code came back, even though it looked good on our, you know, stuff. And it turned out that her engine coolant temperature sensor that going to the computer was underreporting the temperature by 60 degrees. So we put another coolant temperature sensor in it. Well, it came back a few days later, and it was, when you shot it with the temperature gun and looked at the scan tool, they matched, but it was running too cold, like 170 degrees. So we put another thermostat in it. And sometimes you got to put 3 or 4 thermostats in it to get a good one, sometimes. Not every time. And I've run into that at the dealership when I was getting them out of the parts room and stuff. And it comes from Stant thermostats. They'll do that, you know. And I don't know why. I don't know if the wax pellet isn't calibrated right or if the spring is weak on that thermostat. I've never been able to figure out that. Well, my Jeep came in here, and I was looking at my coolant temperature. It was running like 120 degrees. I didn't like that. I wanted to run about 210, you know. That's where I like for it to run. That lady that you worked on her vehicle the other day when you put all that stuff in, it was running about 210. She was like, oh no, I'm overheating. She was expecting it to be real cold, you know, but it was running like it was supposed to, but she wasn't used to that
running right.
and all that. And I really gave, you know, when I said that the dealership over here did all that JB well stuff, that was her boyfriend that done that. It wasn't, and he works at the dealership, but he didn't work on cars. He's sort of like a detail guy or something. But he came in and told me, I said, who put this JB well on her? I did that. Really? You did? I mean, you know, he delivers parts and details cars. He's a nice guy, you know, I really like him, but I don't want to give the dealership a bad rap because I'm thinking, I got a guy working over there that's really, I got a guy working over there that's a really good mechanic too. So what I'm saying is, you know, it's not, that place is, you know, they treat my guy right and I like him over there. But anyway, incidentally, that car of Jim's is coming over here, that Crown Vicky that had the problem over in Andalusia.
Oh, is it?
It's coming here and we're supposed to do an assessment of it, see if we're going to throw a motor at it or, you know, maybe get it running without that. Of course, it's got 320,000 miles on it, so who knows, you know. Willie may have to rebuild it or something. Ain't that right, Willie? All right, then. So let's go here.
15?
Which of these oils is recommended by General Motors for diesel engines beginning in 2011?
LL01.
Wait, are you just hung up on D or what?
I'm gonna go with
Okay.
C.
How about A, Dexos 2?
Backgammon.
Hey, Bob.
I just wanted to put the LL.
Yeah.
Just sounded
Is
right.
there one that had G in it?
Which of the following should be used when changing the oil in a car with a gasoline engine made in 2004 or 2005?
Okay, let's see.
Hey.
API SM. What is S? What's
I was
SM?
going to say that too.
What does a S stand for in SM?
Submissive.
Synthetic.
What if it was CM? What if it
Oh,
was,
compression versus spark.
hey, listen to him. He had to pull that up. You had to go through your Rolodex to pull that up, didn't you?
Yes, I
Compression
did.
fired versus spark fired. Very good. Okay. You remember that from last semester, don't you?
No,
Yes, I
he
do.
guessed.
Yeah. Whenever you tell Lundy something, he burns it in. He doesn't
He
forget
Googled
that.
it.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a lot of hair to get in the way, so it goes right on in there. Okay.
That's right.
That's why I played a dirty joke on her when she come from cosmetology, so, or hey, we got any models that wants to get a haircut like that? And they, of course, they ask, bless their heart, they can't. They're hard to find anybody that lets you cut their hair. Oh, don't worry, it'll grow back out. Yeah, but what I do till it does, But she was going to supervise them and all that kind of stuff. But scissor cutting ain't really that hard to do. Anyway, hey Lundy, you need a haircut? He just pulled off his hat, So, all right, do y'all do a shave on here? All right, let me see here. Let me come down here to.
Hey, let me get you.
Oh, incidentally, let me tell you this, and I've told you this before, but always put the oil in there. The newer the car is, the more likely you are to run into trouble if you don't put the right oil in it. If you put the wrong oil in a hybrid vehicle, they're going to come back in here. They're going to say, "I was getting 96 miles to the gallon, and now I'm getting 92." And I expect you to do something about this. I mean, you believe, if you put the wrong tires on there, the wrong pressure in the tire, all this stuff is just tweaks, and all that. Did you see that picture I posted on Facebook of that little smart car parked behind that Hummer?
Yes.
Did you see that? I mean, caption this. These people, I don't think the person that drives a smart car lives there because it's not there all the time. But I said, these people have to agree to disagree. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? About some things anyway. I don't know if they're like that with everything.
Chop block,
I was
right?
gonna go, hey.
What is the purpose? What is the purpose of the oil filter bypass valve?
Is it
CNC.
No, it's to allow oil to bypass the filter if the filter becomes clogged.
There you go, y'all. Listen to that. What happens, it's got a spring in the bottom of the filter, and it stops up the end of the filter. And if that filter gets clogged up, it's going to push that thing open, and oil's going to go anyway. Because, if your oil filter is subject to get clogged up, and if it gets clogged up, then you're dead in the water. Now, what can clog that is just really not going to, like, whenever, how many of y'all saw whenever Garrett took the oil pan off of his little black Toyota? Did you see that crud that was clogging the screen?
Oh, yeah.
That starved that thing enough to where it eventually died. I mean, he actually cleaned all that out and put another oil pan gasket on it and all that. But he probably should have put some heavier oil in there or something, or some motor honey or something like that, because it was.
Same thing wrong with that Kia the first time.
The Kia was the same darn thing. It was clogged up like that, and it had starved and all that. And that engine back there, LKQ doesn't want it back because most of the time when a Kia engine swapped out, it's toast. You know what I mean? It's basically ruined, and so they don't even want it back for a core. But that's good because I can tell somebody an engine repair that is knocking, and we need to figure out what was wrong with it, measure everything. It's a good little tear down job, Okay, let's see.
18.
A major advantage of using synthetic oil is its ability to do what?
Remain fluid at very low temperatures.
Remain fluid at very low temperatures. It actually is a little bit better. Why would I want to put nitrogen in my tires? Anybody know?
I don't know, but they put it in mine.
Because it doesn't leak out when it gets cold.
It had something to do with the different temperature and stuff. And when it's hot, it won't.
Expand.
It has something.
GM has like 4 different reasons why it's a good idea to put nitrogen in the tires. One of them is that the tires will last longer because they don't oxidize from the inside out, which is sort of strange to me because they always look real good on the inside. Another one is you don't have the pressure changing whenever they get hot and cold. The pressure stays the same. It doesn't expand as bad as oxygen air does. And there was a couple of more reasons too. But none of those reasons were compelling enough for me to put nitrogen in my tire.
I don't want it in mine either because they make your tires roll.
Yeah. Well, another thing that I don't like, if you wind up, if you got a tire that winds up low on air because you ran over something, and you put any regular air in there at all that goes out the window on that tire. You got to start all over. They got to pump all that mess out and put nitrogen back in it, and that's kind of a pricey proposition anyway. But like I say, they like doing that, and the GM dealers usually will have the equipment to put nitrogen in your tires for a fee. I think, heck, I don't know, $100 or something.
Put the green
Valve caps.
caps on there so whoever mess with your tire knows that.
Well, I know, but think about this. If I'm out here on the interstate and I have to stop somewhere and get some air, you think I'm going to worry about that green valve cap? I'm going to throw that sucker away or do
Is
something.
that why you got a green one on yours?
Yeah,
I was wondering about that this
Yeah.
and
morning.
then I had to take it back over to them so they could refill it.
Ain't that ridiculous? I mean, how much, out there on the racetrack, they have nitrogen that they use with impact wrenches and everything. They put nitrogen in the tires on NASCAR cars because it doesn't change temperature. Whenever they get out there and the tires get hot, the pressure stays the same and all that. And they also use nitrogen for their impact guns. They don't have air compressors out there usually. They'll just have tanks of nitrogen, and then they use that for their impacts.
Crazy.
That's what I saw when I was in the pit over there and everything. Did you know I went to the pit a couple of times? Did you know I drove a Pace truck at the Craftsman truck race?
No.
I saw a picture of that.
Yeah, I saw a picture of me sitting in that Pace truck. Actually, I don't know if you call it a Pace truck. There was about 20 of those Power Stroke diesel trucks, and I was driving one of them. You know what's the crappy thing about that? You're going to sit out there for about an hour waiting for the race to start, and it's in the hottest part of the year, that Power Stroke Rally is, and you cannot run that engine and run the air conditioner because it wets the track. So you have to sit there and sweat. And so I saw this guy, over there on the other side of this big tall fence that's supposed to protect the crowd from flying parts, and I said, he's selling water up there in the stand. I said, can I buy a bottle of that water? Because I was burning up, and you can't start the truck, And he says, sure. So he passed it through the fence, and I opened it up, and I says, how much is it? He says, $4. $4. Well, I guess I'll just have to give you $4 because I've already drank out of it, If I was
Wait
blown
till
away.
after you tasted it.
Yeah, I went to the hospitality booth because I was allowed to go there because I was there as a journalist for Motor Age, and I went up there and I was had to go up the elevator and go on this catwalk over here to these hospitality rooms, and you go in this room, it's air conditioned in there, and there's refrigerators with all this finger food and shrimp, and there's all kinds of cool stuff in there.
Why is it always shrimp?
Well, when I was walking on that catwalk, they lit off the fireworks on the other side of the track over there that launches the race. And this guy's got these big cardboard tubes that look like 55-gallon drums with fireworks in them, And they got and boom, when they lit them off, I didn't know that was coming. And this happens to me at those things. I was in the Astrodome one time when they let off that cannon, and I thought I was going to die. I didn't know that was coming, All right, so anyway, I'm over here on this thing, and it goes, boo-woo, and it was enough of a concussion that a bunch of those cars on the opposite, way off over there on the other side of this plane, the stands where I was, that lit off their alarms. Whoop, 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 whoop. I mean, it shook those cars enough to where it lit off their burglar alarm.
Right.
And I like to fell off the catwalk. I didn't know that was coming, But I mean, you should have seen me up there going to the hot dog stand when everybody else was waiting for the ball game to start when the Astros were playing the Dodgers back in 1978 when I went down there. And that thing lit off, and I was looking around. I'm glad nobody saw me, Okay, how did I get off on that? All right, here we go.
19.
19 is how much force is generally used to check idler arms.
25.
As much as possible.
What do you think, y'all? 25, is that what you used? Is that what you do on Hummers? Okay, number 20, how much end play is generally acceptable in the tie rod ends?
0.
0. You don't need end play in your tie rod ends. That ain't good. Also, where the tie rod threads into them and you do your tie, you don't need that. Those threads don't need to be loose either, and we've seen those before. That's bad news if you see that. Okay, now you see these sheets right here? These little sheets right here, you guys can knock these suckers out in a flash. They don't take all that long
I don't believe you.
and all that kind of stuff. Then you got an engine oil change. Everybody's done an engine oil change, okay? That one out there, remember an engine oil change you've done recently? Fill that sucker out, turn it in, you'll be good to go on that. But don't just turn it in blank. I mean, write some stuff on it and all that kind of stuff, and then I'll okay that. And then finally, how many of you guys know how to use a grease gun?
A what?
Quincy used a grease gun before?
So what?
A grease gun? Is that right? What about you? You used a grease gun before?
I had to grease all them rack and pinions and ball
Can you show Quincy how to use a grease gun?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to wipe off the grease fitting first because you don't want to pump any dirt down in there.
You gotta do it. That way you got it, so you know when it's coming out from the finish. I always pump it till I see it come out the joint or something.
Yeah, well, you get it on there right, and you don't want to, listen to this, when you're greasing something, you don't go pump, pump, pump until you bust the boot.
No.
You know what I mean? Just got a couple of squirts is all you're going to do on that kind of thing, so anyway,
Here, Rich.
yeah.
Off on the